world full of noise, the true definition of luxury is peace. This house stands as a sanctuary of silence, where design whispers serenity through every line, texture, and shadow. Designing Tranquility explores how minimalist architecture transforms simplicity into sophistication, crafting a living experience that touches the soul beyond material comfort. Every masterpiece begins with vision. Here, the architect's dream wasn't to impress, but to express. To express calmness, intention, and timelessness. The goal was to design not just a house, but an atmosphere. A space where the soul could breathe, and beauty could exist without noise. This luxury minimalist home finds its heart nestled within nature's quiet rhythm. The site was chosen for its ability to offer both openness and privacy. Surrounded by trees, kissed by natural light, and embraced by the soft hum of the wind, every orientation was planned to frame the landscape like living art. Minimalism isn't emptiness, it's intention. Every element in this house serves a purpose, whether functional or emotional. The absence of excess reveals the true presence of balance. Here, the architecture speaks in whispers, allowing residents to rediscover peace in simplicity and meaning in mindful design. The house's silhouette is a study in geometric harmony. Sharp lines meet soft horizons, creating a dialogue between precision and fluidity. The architectural form feels both grounded and light, a balance of weight and air, capturing the essence of tranquility through shape and proportion. The material selection was a meditation in itself. Warm wood tones, cool stone surfaces, and textured concrete coexist seamlessly. Each surface reflects light differently throughout the day, giving the home an ever-changing emotional quality. Natural materials age gracefully, reminding us that beauty deepens with time. The journey begins not with a door, but with a feeling. The entrance pathway is designed to slow the visitor's pace, surrounded by water, minimalist landscaping, and soft lighting. As you approach, the architecture invites you to exhale, to transition from chaos to calm, from outside to inner peace. The open-plan living area is the heart of this tranquil design. With floor-to-ceiling glass, natural light floods the space, blurring the boundary between interior and exterior. The room feels alive, yet still. Every object is intentional, every piece of furniture chosen for form, comfort, and emotional resonance. The furniture follows the same minimalist philosophy, sculptural yet understated. Crafted from organic materials, each piece complements the architecture rather than competing with it. The result is a visual silence, where simplicity becomes a form of elegance, and restraint becomes a statement of refinement. The kitchen is where form meets functionality without compromise. Hidden storage, clean lines, and matte finishes create a visual calmness that enhances everyday living. It's a space designed not for chaos, but for mindful moments, where cooking becomes an art of presence, and organization becomes peace. The dining area continues the story of simplicity. A long wooden table serves as a symbol of unity, framed by soft natural light. Here, dining transcends eating. It becomes a ritual of connection, an intimate experience where architecture and human emotion converge beautifully. At the center of the home lies a quiet courtyard, the soul of the house. Framed by glass walls, this pocket of nature brings balance to the architectural composition. It filters air, light, and calmness throughout the home, creating a living connection between design and the natural world. The bedroom is a temple of rest. Neutral tones, minimal furnishings, and diffused light cultivate a sense of intimacy and grounding. Here, the absence of clutter is intentional, allowing the mind to quiet itself. This is where tranquility feels tangible, where sleep meets peace. Designed like a private retreat, the bathroom merges minimalism with wellness. Soft stone surfaces, warm light, and a freestanding tub invite meditation. Every texture and reflection is chosen to nurture calm. It's not just a bathroom, it's an experience in self-care and silent luxury. Lighting becomes an invisible architecture, shaping the mood more than the walls themselves. Indirect, layered illumination highlights textures and creates depth. Natural light plays a starring role during the day, while soft ambient glows at night transform the house into a cocoon of quiet luxury. The palette is restrained yet profound: whites, grays, beige, and muted earth tones. Each color is chosen for its psychological calmness, creating a soothing continuity across spaces. This deliberate restraint allows materials, light, and nature to take center stage in a harmonious visual rhythm. In minimalist design, what you remove matters as much as what you keep. Empty spaces are not voids, but pauses, breathing rooms for the soul. This home celebrates the beauty of negative space, proving that silence in design can be more expressive than decoration. Every step through this house feels natural and intuitive. The floor plan follows a gentle rhythm, leading occupants from public to private, from light to shadow. Movement itself becomes an experience, with transitions designed to reflect the emotional journey from activity to tranquility. Walls of glass dissolve boundaries, allowing nature to flow seamlessly into the home. Morning sunlight, evening breezes, and the sound of rain all become part of the architecture. This connection to the environment transforms living into an act of mindfulness, a dialogue between shelter and sky. The pool isn't just for leisure, it's a mirror of serenity. Reflecting the home's minimalist geometry, it becomes a visual extension of the architecture. The water's surface dances with light, casting ripples across the walls. A living artwork that celebrates movement and stillness in perfect balance. The landscape design embraces restraint. Carefully placed stones, sculptural trees, and open green spaces create a meditative outdoor environment. Each element feels intentional, not decorative, but poetic. The garden becomes a quiet dialogue between human creation and natural imperfection. Tranquility is not only visual but auditory. The house minimizes noise through material choice, spatial separation, and natural sound absorption. The faint rustle of leaves, the soft echo of footsteps, these sounds become part of the design, crafting an atmosphere where silence is luxury. Open circulation and biophilic design allow air to flow naturally. The architecture itself breathes, reducing the need for artificial ventilation. Large openings and shaded eaves bring in fresh air, maintaining comfort while connecting inhabitants to the subtle rhythms of nature. A central Lightwell pierces the structure, filling the home with vertical beams of daylight. This architectural gesture blurs the boundary between roof and sky, casting ever-changing patterns across the interior. The light becomes time itself, marking the day's quiet passage through the heart of the home. Texture adds emotion to minimalism. Smooth concrete meets soft linen. Rough stone meets warm wood. These contrasts invite touch and awaken subtle senses. The house doesn't just look calm, it feels calm. It reminds us that true beauty lies not only in what we see, but what we feel. Minimalist design demands precision. Every edge, join, and shadow line is intentional. The craftsmanship here is invisible yet profound, where perfection hides in simplicity. The smallest detail, executed with mindfulness, transforms ordinary architecture into art that breathes elegance and discipline. Behind the minimalist calm lies sophisticated smart home technology. From climate control to adaptive lighting, innovation serves invisibly, enhancing comfort without visual clutter. The goal isn't to showcase technology, but to let it disappear into the background, preserving the purity of the experience. As the sun sets, the home transforms. Soft golden light glows through translucent panels, reflecting gently off the water. The architecture feels alive, yet peaceful, a private retreat floating in twilight. It's a poetic reminder that tranquility doesn't fade with night, it deepens. More than a structure, this home carries an emotional resonance. It feels alive, not because of movement, but because of meaning. Each space holds an energy that invites reflection, gratitude, and mindfulness. It's a design with soul, where architecture becomes an expression of inner peace. Designing Tranquility is more than a project, it's a philosophy. A reminder that true luxury isn't in excess, but in essence. It's in spaces that allow you to feel, to breathe, and to simply be. In a noisy world, this minimalist house teaches us that the most beautiful sound is silence.